Hello everyone and welcome to this new tutorial. In this video we are going to create a web API that communicates with a Microsoft SQL database. In the last video we have already set up and created the database, which is called customers database, and we have added tables and relationships. In this video we are going to cover how to create a web API to communicate with that database using ASP.NET Core. Before we start, make sure that you have Visual Studio installed. If you don't, you just need to go to Microsoft website and then search for Visual Studio 2022 if you would, then install it from there. We are going to have another video to explain how to set up and install Visual Studio web components to create web APIs. Once you do install your Visual Studio, all you have to do is launch it. Then once it launched, you'll see this first window. You just need to click on Create New Project. Then after that, if you have installed the web-related components, you can search for .NET Core here, and then select .NET Core Web API. Just scroll to the bottom, you will see it here. So you have the regular web applications, and you have the web API. You just need to select this, then click on Next. After that, you have to name your web API. I will call it Customers .API. You can name it whatever you want. Click Next. After that, you have to select the framework. We recommend using .NET 8. Then leave everything else to the default selected values and click on Create. Once that's done, you will have your web API files. So you have some default files that we are going to remove. And then you have your configuration file, which is programs.cs. So this is where we configure our application settings and DB context and so on. So the first thing you need to do is to make sure that your API is up and running. You just need to click on Run from here. So it will open up your browser, and then you have the Swagger default page. Swagger is a tool to test web APIs, and it's similar to Postman. You can use Postman or Swagger, it doesn't matter, but it's up to you to decide. Then I'm going to delete these two files. This is my controller, and there is the model that is auto-generated as well that we don't need, which represent the model of the weather forecast controllers. So I'll just delete that as well. Now we are going to communicate to that database, and to do so we need some models, and we need a DB context to do that. If you want to understand what is a DB context and what are models, all you have to do is Google Microsoft or ASP.NET DB context, and you'll find useful information down there. So in short, a DB context is actually a class that will help us communicate with the SQL database, and that class will instantiate a new DB context, let's say, and that DB context will use a connection string, which is our secret to communicate with the SQL database. So to communicate with the database, we need to have the DB context and the models that represents the tables. Visual Studio have some tools to help us auto-generate these files, and we need to install some libraries to do that. And those libraries are the EntityFrameworkCore.SqlServer and EntityFrameworkCore.Tools. So we need to install them within our project so that we can automatically generate the DB context and the models using our database that resides here. So in other words, we're going to generate a context, and we're going to generate a class for each table, and that class will represent the table structure. So for company, you have a class called company with attribute or properties name and another property for the address. Same thing for the contact, you have a class, a C# class if you would, that represents the contact entity, same thing for the address. And then you'll have the relationship. So we are going to start like installing those projects or those dependencies. So all you have to do is you go to Dependencies, then Packages, right click, Manage NuGet Packages. Then you're going to browse for new package that you're going to install. So the first one is SQL Server. And this is the package that we're going to install. It's called Microsoft.EntityFrameworkCore.SqlServer. This will help us communicate with a SQL server. So you just need to click on this little arrow to install it. Then accept, apply, and then accept. After that, we're going to install the second library, which is EntityFrameworkCore.Tools. So we're going to just search for tools and then look for EntityFramework.Tools. This is the library that we're going to install. Just click here, apply, and then accept. Once these two libraries are installed, we are ready to go ahead and auto-generate the context and the models from our database. To do so, there is a command line that we're going to use. So first we need to show the package manager console. So you just need to go to View, then Other Windows, then select Package Manager Console. So it will appear here, and it will help us run some commands to auto-generate, let's say, or scaffold the classes or DB context and the models from an existing database. To learn more about scaffolding and how Visual Studio or how ASP.NET Core can help us, let's say, generate the database context and the models automatically using command line, all you have to do is Google it or go to Google, say scaffolding ASP.NET Core or .NET Core. Then you go to reverse engineering or scaffolding, which is called reverse engineering as well, and then you will see or learn more about how to do the scaffolding using an existing database to generate the models and the DB context. And so you can use .NET Core CLI, or you can use Visual Studio itself, Package Manager Console, so PMC. So this is the command line that we're going to run against our own database. So just copy it from there, and then go to Visual Studio, paste it. Then I have to select my database, which is called customers. And I would like to specify the output folder of my models to be models. So I'll create a new folder here called models, add new folder. So I'll put my models there, and then I'll specify that parameter, which is output folder or OutputDir. And I'll call it models. So now when I run this command, what will happen, it will open that database for me, and then it will generate a DB context and some models. So the model will be representing the tables that we have. So we have a company, address, contact, models, which are classes in C#, and a fourth class, which is a DB context that takes care of communicating with the database for us. So I'll just hit enter. I think I missed OutputDir there, misspelled it. Now it will build the project and generate the files for me. Since it's a small database, it will not take that much time to generate the model. So when it's done, I can open the models folder and see that I have 4 different classes, like I mentioned. So the first one is the company, which represents a class that represents the company entity within the database. So you have the ID, the name, and the address ID. Contact, you have contact ID, first name, last name, email, phone, and so on. Same thing for the address. You have all the attributes from those tables automatically generated for you. And then you have the DB context that will be used to configure the relationships between the tables, and also have some DB sets for us to manipulate data within those tables. So we have a DB set for address called addresses, and then we have a DB set for company that is called companies, a DB set for contacts for contact table. So these are what we are going to use. These are the properties that we are going to use when we want to add, retrieve, edit, delete data from those 3 tables. So now we are done with our DB context. One last thing to do is to inject this within the program.cs or within the configuration. And to do so, you just need to go anywhere here after the builder. So once this is a builder that we're going to use to inject our DB context to within the services property. So to do that, you just need to say, okay, so I'll just comment add DB context, and then I will say use builder services.addDbContext. Then from that, I will have to introduce my class, which is DbContext here, customers context. Then I'll specify options for that. So if I have my connection string, a custom connection string, I can set it here, or I can stick to the default connection string that is added within the context class. So use SQL here, and then my connection string will be named to the default connection string that comes from the DbContext when I did my scaffolding. So it takes actually from this command here that we run here. So it will stick to the default connection string. Default connection, and that's it. So this is the line responsible of telling my API or my project that I have a DbContext and the connection string is the one generated with the class. So to check that, you can just go to option builder, then you'll see that you have a default connection string that comes with your generated class. That's it for the configuration. Now we are going to create some APIs or API endpoints for the different tables.